21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Hi, I'm Elliot Kallen. I'm CEO of Prosperity Financial Group. And I have started 5 businesses. And boy, have I learned that sometimes life has many more downs and ups and curves and backwards and zigzags. And that's what I've done my entire career. So for the last 30 years of being an entrepreneur now, I've started 2 companies that I've since sold. One I felt like I needed to, but since then I've started 3 entities. 2 of them are in our financial services business, and one of them is a nonprofit charity, a foundation that my family and I run together. And every day is a challenge of employees. Every day is a challenge of cash flow. Every day we're looking to grow. I wouldn't know what it means to not grow. So I'm excited to share that journey with you. Entrepreneurs are faced with daily obstacles, but I can't imagine an obstacle greater than the one that my family faced, which was the sad suicide of my son 9 years ago. And we took that tragedy, as an entrepreneur would do, and we decided that we wanted to change people's lives with it. So as I fast forward 8 years through the horribleness of burying your own child, we now have a foundation that saves lives, saves teenagers in 5 different countries and in all 50 states in the United States. And what entrepreneurs learn is resistance, determination, and fortitude. And that's what I've exemplified. And that's what I'd like to talk about with you.
Teach my soul to sing your song, even when my eyes can't see, when I can't seem to carry on. I know your hand is guiding me. I know your hand is guiding me.
So resistance to me as an entrepreneur are the people around you, the foundations around you, sometimes the bankers around you, telling you that it cannot be done, it needs to be done a different way. And here you are as an entrepreneur, and you know deep within your heart that this is the way that I'm going to create success. And you've got to fight with all your being to get people on board with your idea, because your idea is probably a great idea, even when it needs to be massaged a little bit, but it's still your idea, and don't give up.
Through the valley I may walk, but you are all I'll ever need. Gave your life to take my fall, so in the storm I will have peace. So come the storm, I'll still believe.
So as an entrepreneur, you're going to be attacked with the issues of cash flow that I was building a business, that growth was beyond your ability to pay for it, that you needed better help around you, you needed an HR department that you never thought you needed, and you needed people to follow you as a leader. And you can't just be an entrepreneur, you have to be a leader. In my world of the last 30 years, I've had to grow as my companies now are approaching $1 billion in total assets that required an entire infrastructure of people to support this. And the challenge is when you've got good ideas, as I've had, as you have, as an entrepreneur, you've got to sell these ideas to your people, because they need to be as on board building your team up and your success as they were for me.
And when it seems I'm at the end, and I don't know what I believe, through the cloud I see your hand, reaching down to guide me. You're always reaching down to guide me, 'cause I am yours and I am free.
So what I mean by building a team, as I've had to do, is taking your idea, which is probably a great idea, and on a daily basis, bringing that idea forward in great communication styles that you have, not hiding it, not being shy about it, but talking about it with your team. For instance, 30 years ago, I told my first employee that we're going to break off from where we were and we're going to build $1 billion business over the next decade. It took me a little longer than a decade, but we're going to build that out. But I kept talking to her, and then she began to talk to other people around me on that. And when I talked about my charity, I talked about how we wanted to save lives and change teens' lives every day. So the people that volunteer, the people that work in an organization, when you ask them what we do, they'll tell you we save lives. I put that together and I wrote a book about it. It's called Driven by Elliot Kallen. It's right now an Amazon bestseller. I'm excited about it. But what it does, it takes that journey, the up and down journey that I just mentioned, the journey that has zigs and zags on it and not a straight line to success. And it talks about those key points that I just mentioned of resilience and resistance and entrepreneurship and fighting and clawing and getting your fingernails dirty and your nose bloodied on a regular basis because you know it's the right thing to do. And that when you come into work every day, as I've done for 30 years, you know tomorrow is better than today and today will be better than yesterday, even if you go home with blood running down your face. Because that's sometimes what it takes. As the Rocky movies used to say, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. And that's what I believe every day is get back up, put on the boxing gloves, and duke it out. The two other characteristics that I just mentioned that you have to have as an entrepreneur are determination and fortitude. My mother used to tell me when I was young, intestinal fortitude will separate you out from the other weak players in the marketplace. They'll give you strength. So determination is looking forward, and no matter how much your legs hurt, your arms hurt, you are determined to create a successful organization. It's kind of like listening to the mission of the Man from La Mancha show and saying, look what they did out of nothing. It's the same thing as you. You've got to have that. So when you're in the elevator giving that elevator speech, they know that with your very fiber, you are determined to create something amazing. And you also know with your fortitude, we used to call that intestinal fortitude. Fortitude is an inner character, an inner strength. You're not going to be perfect at what you do, but the character that you deploy and the strength of that character will separate you out from other people that are self-destructive, they shoot themselves in the foot, and they give up. You are that person that doesn't give up. So when I was growing up, and I'm sure you all have great stories, my mother was an Auschwitz survivor. My dad was part of the greatest generation, World War II. And my dad had this phrase all the time: nothing makes up for hard work. You can't take the shortcut. You have to work hard. Now, that doesn't mean that there are people who make very little money that don't work hard. That's not true. You've got to find the right opportunity. So I call that the schizophrenic person on my left shoulder is my father saying to me, you can't make up for hard work, and that's why I work very hard. For my mother, who had good luck to survive Auschwitz and World War II, she used to say that you can do better today than what you did yesterday. If you got a 90 on an exam and growing up, did anybody get a 95? If you got a 95, did anybody get 100? You can do better. You can't be perfect, but you can do better. So my schizophrenic parents that I put on, talking my left ear and my right ear, one is telling me go to work and work harder today than you did yesterday. And the other one is saying you can do better. When you put them together, it means I can work hard and smart, because you have to do that, and I can do better at it today than yesterday. So when I came to work today on a Tuesday morning, I knew I could do better than I did last Tuesday morning. I just had to figure out how. So let me mention as an entrepreneur that I believe there are 3 phases in the life of you as a business owner, and of course, phases of your business. The first one is a startup phase. It's kind of the new car, shiny, it's exciting phase of your life. You're starting it up, you're building it up, you're putting your ideas out, you're massaging them, you're having some cash flow issues, you're having some personnel issues, but boy, it's getting better every day, and sometimes it's worse, but that's the startup phase. That's the beginning of it. You want to make sure you're well capitalized. That gets rid of this problem of cash flow, but you don't have traction yet. You have to develop traction. Phase 2 is traction. That's the most fun phase. You're working hard, but boy, you can see the fruits of your labor. You can see the cash is coming in. You're starting to do a better job. You're paying for your kids' education. Things are coming into place. You're funding your retirement. You're thinking about what's next. Do I go public? Do I sell my company? What's the next part of my phase? Because I'm enjoying this. And then the third part is now you've reached 60 years old or 65 or 55, and you're beginning to feel like, what am I going to do now? What do I do with me? What do I do with my company? We're getting a little long in the tooth. Is it time for me to sell? Do I want to transfer this company to my children? Usually not a good idea, but you might be considering that. Do I want to find a buyer? Do I want to go public? You're beginning to think about your exit strategy. And I tell people, when you're in your exit strategy and you're thinking about, I have a way to finally, after all these years of work, to monetize my business in a way that I never thought I could 20 years ago, which is what I look forward to, then I could say, what's the next phase of my life? In the United States, the average retiree watches 4 to 6 hours of TV a day. That's not a good retirement plan, everybody. You don't want to do that. So in that phase, when you're in phase 3, you want to figure out what's the exciting thing that I could do next. And for some people, it's totally different than for other people. For instance, for myself, my wife and I had a whole conversation 10 years ago that said, we love global travel. We go to Croatia, we've been to Italy. We want to go spend a month there this summer. We love world travel. We like to cook. I like to cook a lot. I think of myself as an amateur cook. So I'm always picking up ideas on being a better chef. And of course, better chefs love to eat, and my wife's my biggest critic. But we talk about those 2 things all the time. I've got a 1,000-bottle wine room with big Cabernets, very Napa-based and Sonoma-based wine room. We love collecting wine. We like sharing our wine, which means that we're going to invite people over, be invited over, and we're going to spend a lot of time in a California wine country. We can go around the world tasting wine. Those are 3 or 4 things that we love to do. We had a conversation about golf. Lots of people say they want to golf more in their retirement. We decided that we liked golf, that we don't love golf. And if we couldn't golf anymore, we'd be okay. We belong to a country club and we golf, never that much. I'm not very good at it. But we do it, but we don't love it. So we had that discussion about it. I have grandchildren. I want to spend more time with them. But I have to tell you, if you're an entrepreneur and you are used to making things happen 24 hours a day, sometimes spending time with your 2-year-old grandchild is a little bit rewarding and can be a little bit vacuous as you're hoping to fill the time gap in your life and looking to do something. So I've already told my wife, when I sell my businesses here, I've got another business I'm going to start, and I'm going to work part-time at it. It's only 40 hours a week. And she said, oh boy. I said, that'll give me another 60 hours to do everything else. But at least those 40 hours, I'm going to have purpose, and I'm going to have people around me, and I'm going to build something totally different than what I'm building now. And that's what I mean by phases of your life. You don't want to do at 75 what you did at 25 because it's monotonous or can be monotonous. I don't want to be one of those gray hair, white hair people in a room talking to people saying, I have no hobbies. That's why I'm still doing the same thing. I wouldn't want somebody else to be like that either.
Always faithful, never changing, filled with wonder. You have saved me kindness frees me.
So with the charity A Brighter Day at abrighterday.info, if you want more information, we deal with the lives of teenagers and their families all the time on depression, stress, with the goal of stopping suicide. So we are touching the world of suicide every day of the week. It's a very sad world, but I want to tell you as an entrepreneur what that means to you and around you, because not everyone experiences success immediately or all the time, and you can develop a feeling of hopelessness. So one of the major traits of suicide is hopelessness. The second one is withdrawal. And if you catch yourself withdrawing from friends and society and doing those things that you love, you may be walking down a path that you have to get some help for. We've got on our website a million ways to get you some help, but you've got to get some help. It doesn't go away by itself. When I'm working in a teenage world, the local school system did a survey of high schoolers, and they were expecting around 5% of all teenagers to have thought about suicide at least once. And the end result was close to 50%. Totally different. They were blown away. It's like that in most school systems. Kids, 40 plus percent of the time, think about it. Now think about you as an entrepreneur. You're out there, you're getting bloody, you're beating it up, you're making things happen, and something doesn't go well. You don't get your loan that you needed to, your line of credit from the bank. Your largest customer leaves you. Your number one salesperson leaves you. You don't know what you're going to do about it. You go home, you're laying in bed. If you're like me, you're laying in bed between 2 and 5 in the morning thinking about your business. It's dark, it's scary, you can't sleep, you're looking at the clock, you've got some night sweats, and you can begin to feel hopeless. So what I recommend you do, because I'm touching that world all the time with teens, is don't do it alone. You're going to have those feelings of hopelessness, of helplessness. Find a coach. Find somebody that can help you, that you can be responsible to. Because I've hired coaches over the years, some very good coaches, some worthless coaches. They're out there too. They're all different types of coaches, but they made me responsible to me. So I would have to wake up and put my reality hat on and say, I'm struggling at work, but I'm also not picking up the phone anymore to make phone calls. And they would say to me, how many calls did you make today or this week? And usually I made 40. Now I'm making 4. That's what I mean by hopelessness. So don't let that black hole of suicide and depression eat at you. And try to imagine as an entrepreneur that you've got a 6-walled box, 4 walls, top and bottom. And that box is generally beautiful blue. And that's when you're at your very peak. But if your marriage is going awry, your kids are upset with you, your bank is upset with you, your clients are upset with you, that isn't a blue box anymore. It's beginning to get dark gray and even black. And when that box is 6 walls all black, you're now in the danger to hurting yourself phase. So you want to cut that off before you wake up a day and you say, well, today sucked. Tomorrow was going to be even worse. Yesterday was terrible. Why bother? No one will miss me anyway. That's what you never want to happen, because you have an enormous impact on everybody around you, employees, family, friends. Sometimes when you're going through a personal crisis, you can't see it, you can't feel it, but you can change it one brick at a time. So to get more information on who I am and who we are, let me give you some details here. It's Elliot, ELLIOT, at prosperityfinancialgroup.com. Easy to reach us. The website is prosperityfinancialgroup.com. The charity is abrighterday.info. My cell is 510-206-1103. I'm on LinkedIn. Make sure you put 2 L's and 1 T on that. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to reach us. Only place I'm not is I'm not on Twitter or that short of a time, or Snapchat or any other ones. So I would love to share my stories with you. I love to hear your story, and perhaps we could do this again.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskorik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.